All right, sending it over to Megahertz with The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask 3D any percent. Take it away.
Thank you. So I understand there's a file name incentive for this run. Which file name will I be using?
Just got sniped. It's just going to be ugly.
Ugly. Nice.
Capital U.
Capital U, ugly. Let's see if I can. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to close the game, and then I'm going to start it, and then give you a countdown to start the timer. Okay? Okay, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Hello. My name is Megahertz, and on the couch with me is
Gymnast 86.
and this is MM3D any percent. We're gonna jump right into the game, and by jump right into the game, I mean jump into 5 minutes of cutscenes. So while that's gonna happen, I will let you know that the any percent run is 1 hour and 30 minutes roughly of fast action, but there are a lot more glitches that this game has to offer, and so we are opening up an additional donation incentive for $150. If you raise $150 before I finish the run, I will do a glitch exhibition showing off some of the things that you miss because I'm going too fast in any percent. So get in your donations now, because this run really doesn't take that long, despite the slow start. So MM3D, or Majora's Mask 3D, is the 3DS remake of the classic N64 title. And one of the first questions that people ask when they come into an MM3D speedrun stream is, what's different from the original? And the answer is pretty much everything. So we've got different strats, different route, some 3DS exclusive glitches, and some glitches that don't work anymore because they were patched. So get ready for quite a show coming up here. But first, just like the original game, we have to get through first cycle, which is going to be a lot of mashing through cutscenes. We're playing on Japanese because it has fewer text boxes than other languages, but you can also mash through text extremely quickly in this game. So the difference between the different languages is actually very slight, which means you can play this game in pretty much any language and still be competitive. Speed of getting through text is pretty much as quickly as you can mash, so I'm just going to rub my finger in between the A and B buttons to get through this sequence as quickly as I can. First cycle is all about getting to the third day as quickly as possible, which means tight movement and fast text mashing. So that's going to be really the first 20 minutes of the run. If there are any donations to be read, now is actually a pretty good time. We're going to be in cutscenes for the next 5 minutes or so.
We did just get a donation. $100 from Nerds with Games. Says, hey Mega, glad that you got this run in the marathon, but let's make it a little more interesting. I will donate $100. We'll take off $5 for every failed flower slide, and $2 for every failed RI. Good luck with the run, and don't get bodied by Majora.
Wow. Thanks, Nerds. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Nerds with Games. He's a glitch hunter for all the 3DS Zelda games, which is a really cool dude. So really appreciate it. So we're just going to fall through this trippy tree here, see some masks, ocarinas, clocks, all good things. And we're actually going to pick up our first transformation mask of the game, technically. The 3DS version of the game has a really cool exclusive glitch for each of the transformation masks. And we'll see 2 out of 3 of them in the 80% run. The Deku mask and the Goron mask both have exclusive glitches that are really fast, so we'll be showing those off. And the Zora mask one is also really interesting, but is unfortunately not used in any category of the game. It's a way for you to swim on land, which allows you to do interesting glitches that unfortunately don't make you go any faster. I've been running this game for 3 years now, just about. And it seems like as the game has progressed, we eliminate cool glitches and replace them with other cool glitches, but that just make the game go a lot faster. And now we do a lot less in the 80% run than we used to. That's what the glitch exhibition is for, though, to show off all the stuff that you'll miss.
Yeah, this game's 80% route has gone through quite a lot of changes ever since the game came out about 4 years ago.
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed those first 15 seconds of gameplay. We're going to get our next 15 seconds in just a second here. For one reason or another, Tattle can't phase through this wall, unlike every other fairy. So she's stuck with us. We're kind enough to open the door for her. So one of the first things you notice when you pick up the 3DS remake of Majora's Mask is that Deku Link spins very differently than he does in the original game. It's one of the many changes they made. He has a very slow acceleration curve. So you actually want to start off by walking a little bit, pick up some speed by running, and then start spinning. So like I said, first cycle is all about getting out of it as quickly as we can, but we actually have to make a detour here to this chest. This chest contains a very important item, this being the Deku Nuts. And there's actually no other way to get Deku Nuts in first cycle, and we need them for a trick that we do in first cycle. So we're just going to pick them up here. And void out. Not a huge deal.
Yeah, that only loses like 4 seconds. We needed to get to the other side of the room anyway.
Exactly. Turns out you can just make that, and you don't have to go around the room normally, and save a little bit of time by side hopping instead of getting into the flower to get to the other side, and do your best to avoid hearing a very sad story about that Deku Scrub that has mysteriously died.
Yeah, this game is already sad enough. As far as the Deku Nuts go that Mega just collected, they're a very important item, but we're actually not going to end up using them for a while. We simply just need them in our inventory to activate a different glitch, which will be shown off in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't bless this run by dropping Deku Nuts into the infinite pit. That's troubling. Here we meet the Happy Mask Salesman. He's pretty aptly named, usually has a smile on his face. He's telling us some stuff, but I can't speak Japanese. I can't understand any of it, and it's going way too fast for me to read anyway. It's pointing to this thing. I don't know what that is. I don't think I'm ever going to walk inside there. I'm just interested in getting first cycle over with as quickly as possible. So you can actually save 3 seconds by mashing B through the Dawn of the First Day cutscene that you just watched there. If you don't mash, you lose 3 seconds. If you mash, you save the seconds. It's part of a theme of this game is random mashing of B that makes things go faster. Alright, so Tattle just told us that the Great Fairy will know what to do, so go find the Great Fairy as soon as possible. But I'd rather waste some time, so I'm going to take a detour to the World's Worst Storyteller. Because of the changes to Deku spinning in this game, side hopping and backwalking are a lot faster in general if you can set up the angles quickly for movement as Deku Link. The spinning is good if you need to change your direction frequently, but on periods where you are going in the same direction, a side hop or a back walk is a preferred form of movement. So Grandma just actually spoiled the entire plot to this game, but we couldn't stay awake for it and can't understand the language either, so we just missed all of the plot points. It was so boring though we slept for an entire day, 2 times in a row. And now it's the 3rd day. We still need time to flow as quickly as possible, so we're going to try and have really tight movement. Occasionally, when you're right in front of a door, right before you can press open, you can get a spin in and it actually takes extra time to open the door, so I want to avoid what we call dusting doors. Alright, so the world's about to end, but all I want to do is dance, so I'm going to head to the local dance instructor in Clocktown. It's a pretty hot beat.
He's really happy.
So you can actually dance with the Scarecrow in all 3 days, but when it's night of the 3rd day, he bails. He's like, I'm out of here. I think this place is about to be not here anymore. So he takes off. But it's perfect. We are exactly where we want to be time-wise. And now, actually, we have to do a lot before the midnight cutscene plays. So actually, each in-game minute is going to matter. So I have to have tight movement still.
Yeah, so no matter what we do until midnight of the 3rd day, we still have to, have time pass until the midnight of the 3rd day. So we're going to attempt to do some things outside of Clocktown, actually, that are useful for us during this time that we'd normally have to wait.
So we need some rupees. Luckily, this couple is not going to get married anytime soon, so just take that wedding present from them.
And yeah, that door is only open, I believe, on the night of the 3rd day, so we couldn't have gotten the money earlier.
And it creates more text boxes that stop the flow of time from continuing, so we didn't even want to do it if we could. Saving it for the night of the 3rd day is the best time. But you are right, it's only open on the night of the 3rd day. With these ill-gotten rupees, we're going to go visit the bomb shop. The bomb shop is actually the only salesman in Clocktown who will sell things to Deku Link. So you'd normally think, oh, we need Deku nuts, we'll just buy them from the shop here. It turns out that the salesman will not sell anything to Deku Link, but you can buy the bomb bag. The bomb salesman says, you can't use any of these items, but I guess I'll sell them to you anyway. But he doesn't know how wrong he is.
Also, Mega, this is your reminder to safety save.
Thank you. So the trick that we're about to do is going to require something that is called home menu buffering, where I'm going to open the home menu in order to try to select a certain frame to do a frame perfect trick on. Home menu buffering, when you have the Circle Pad Pro, there is a small chance, especially with the new 3DS XL, which I'm running on, that you will lock your console, hard lock it, which would mean the last 15 minutes were for nothing. So definitely want to do a safety save there. So I'm doing a shield spin through the Tattle text trigger there in order to avoid Tattle having a very embarrassing moment where she tells us that the Great Fairy has broken apart, even though we already collected the Stray Fairy that told us that the Great Fairy was broken apart. So we just saved a little bit of game continuity there. You have to do it on the way back as well, so. But what it does is it saves you from wasting in-game time by seeing an unnecessary text trigger. Because every in-game time minute matters, but we do want to waste a little bit of it. So we hit the midnight cutscene exactly when we want to.
got a $75 donation from Anonymous that just says, glitches.
Wow, that was quick.
Alright, so right here, Mega's going to be doing what's known as the Clocktown escape. And to start that off, he's going to take out his bombs while he's in the flying animation for Deku Link, and he's going to home buffer to a frame where he's allowed to use the bombs right as he touches down on the fence here. Now, once he gets that with that bomb, he's going to attempt to do a Deku Flower Slide off of that. Unfortunately, it looks like he was a little bit early, but that's okay. He can just try again over here. So he's looking for a specific shape next to Deku Link's shadow on the ground. Pulls out the bomb again, shields it.
I don't know what happened there. I got knocked out of the ground. Set up a third time. We probably will run into some in-game time issues now, but it should be okay.
Nah, yeah. The angle that you have to get there is also pretty precise.
So the only reason why this trick works is because we got Deku Nuts. So all the blank item spaces in my inventory when I have Deku Nuts could be Deku Nuts, and so they're counted as active inventory slots. And when I switch the bombs, that's not going to happen. That's okay.
Yeah, thankfully we have 20 bombs, and this is the only bomb that we need to use in first cycle, so it's not going to matter if he runs out of bombs.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
Made it. That's going to be some $5 lost, but... So, Termina Field in first cycle is a little bit different. There's actually no enemies, and there are also some missing actors, like cutscene triggers, so we're going to use that to our advantage here.
You're going to need to go in the grotto.
I know.
Yeah.
So, this Midnight cutscene, there are two versions of it, and the one that we wanted plays in the Southern Swamp, which would allow us to death warp back to Clocktown. But we didn't get to the Southern Swamp in time because of how long it took to Flower Slide escape. So we're going to have to walk back. It's going to lose a little bit of time. Actually, like a good minute or so.
Also, did you happen to count the number of home buffers?
We'll just kind of safety save and hope for the best, I think.
Okay. So yeah, normally when you escape out of Clocktown to Termina here, the actors, as Mega mentioned, are all gone. But now that we watched the cutscene, all of the actors came back. But thankfully there's a way to fix that, because one of the triggers that we don't want on this map is the trigger in front of the Southern Swamp, where we have to watch the cutscene of like the lore behind how Skull Kid became who he is. And we can simply fix that and make the trigger disappear by going in and out of this grotto right here.
So now we actually have to worry about making it to the tower in time.
We should be okay, I think.
I think so.
But yeah, so the goal of the entire Clocktown escape and coming out here down to the Southern Swamp is so that we can get the Song of Soaring in first cycle.
They moved the owl that teaches you Song of Soaring to right at the start of the Southern Swamp. And so it's perfect for MM3D once we figured out how to escape Clocktown first cycle. Because we just come here, learn Song of Soaring, and then death warp back to Clocktown to end first cycle.
So even though we don't have the ocarina, we can still pull out a set of Deku pipes to learn the song, thankfully.
And it still sounds like an ocarina until you play it. So if we had the ocarina, we could actually soar back to Clocktown now, but this does not give us the ocarina, so we have to walk back. If we could get a bottle, we could potentially do a trick called Ocarina Items to allow us to soar back to Clocktown, but there's actually no way to get a bottle as Deku Link in first cycle. So this is the Walk of Shame. But, Jim was right. We should be fine as far as making it into the tower before time runs out, because we do not have to bother catching all the bombers or even memorizing the bomber's code. The Moon's Tear is easily skipped in this version of the game. The angle is not great. It's better.
Have time for a quick donation?
Yeah, actually, this is a good time.
All right, we got $10 from Echo that says, excited to catch the Majora's Mask 3D run. Finally beat the game myself this morning after giving myself hand cramps trying to get the Fierce Deity mask, but it was totally worth it. Good luck on the run, and a hello to Jim on the couch as well.
Thank you.
Hello.
So yeah, just a quick gainer, which is a backflip where you target immediately after performing the backflip. It allows Link to grab a ledge that he normally wouldn't be able to. And then one more shield spin past another Tattletech trigger to get into the tower to end first cycle.
So the entire reason we need magic is to just shoot that single bubble at Skull Kid so he drops the ocarina.
Right, so it takes us no time at all just to get magic and then come up to the tower to get the ocarina, but the extra stuff that we do does save time in future cycles, so it's worth doing. This is the only appearance of Zelda in the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. She teaches us a very important song, the Song of Time. That was about right. You can learn songs so quickly in this game that they just sound like nonsense, but as long as you press the buttons in the right order, it works, which is actually slightly different than Ocarina of Time 3D, where you actually have to wait a little bit between button presses.
Yeah, sometimes like you'll play all of the correct notes of the song, but then you'll like add an extra note at the end, and it will be incorrect because you pressed the button too quickly.
Alright, so now that we've learned the Song of Time, we can play the Song of Time, which in this game resets the cycle. And that's it. It actually doesn't save your game in this game. Which is a pretty major change, both from a casual and speedrun perspective from the original, where the Song of Time was the only way to save your game. The only way to save your game in this version is at the owl statues, or feather statues, which are just save points. You can't Song of Soaring to them, but they save your game. When you play Song of Time in this game, it still resets your cycle, and it also sets it so that if you moon crash, you go back to the last time you played Song of Time instead of the last time you saved the game. So this is the only time we're going to be playing the Song of Time, spoiler alert, in the run. If we were to moon crash, which is actually possible in a glitch that we're going to do later on, we would go back to right now, which is when we're about to learn Song of Healing and lose all of our progress up to that point, which is why we're going to be doing plenty of safety saves.
Yeah, well, this game is generally easy to speedrun compared to like a lot of other games. There are still ways that you can end your runs if you just get a little bit unlucky.
Yeah, there are ways to moon crash that are even just completely out of your control. And it's at the second to last boss fight in the run, so you're probably an hour and 15 minutes into a good run, and it's just over. So for marathon safety, we will be saving before all of those tricks. But first we have another 6 or 7 minutes of cutscenes, so if there's any donations to read, now is actually a pretty good time.
Absolutely. Just want to go ahead and remind everyone, as was mentioned earlier on, we did just add a new incentive at $150 for a Majora's Mask 3D glitch exhibition. So if that gets met by the end of this run, we will be doing a glitch exhibition after the run. So get your donations in. Just be sure to check through that on Tiltify. We got a $5 donation from Anonymous. It says, important question for Megahertz. Majora's Mask Great Fairy or Ocarina of Time Great Fairy?
I prefer the Majora's Mask Great Fairies, but that's because my favorite category to run in this game is actually all fairy rewards. So I am devoted, one might say, to the Great Fairy in Majora's Mask.
And it finishes in saying, also put this towards naming the Ocarina 100% run Jim Nasty.
I see how it is.
I like that donation incentive.
And that puts that in the lead at $5. So, anyone who wants to get anything better or just wants to put anything more towards that naming incentive, that run will be coming up later tonight. So any amount can help out with that incentive. And really, any amount helps here at Direct Relief. There's a way a good friend of mine put it is that really at any of these charity marathons, yeah, you see the total at like $11,000, but really, even if you only have $1 to spare, even if you only have $2, any amount helps. It goes a long way.
So with text in this game, it goes as fast as you mash, except for in cutscenes like this, where you mash to fill out the text box immediately, and then it waits a set amount of time to make the text box disappear. So you still want to mash in that cutscene, but you don't have to mash quite as much as during normal text. So we just learned the song of ripping people's faces off and taking them for your own, and we took the Deku Mask face for our own. Very handy. And also, in the MM3D remake, they decided to not force you to do the Bomber's side quest in second cycle, and Happy Mask Salesman just gives you the Bomber's Notebook, which is very useful for the any percent speedrun, and very unfortunate for all masks and 100%, pretty much any other category, because the little cutscene that plays every time you get a new entry in the Bomber's Notebook is a lot longer than in the original game, and there are a lot more of them, so it adds a lot of time to both of those runs.
Yeah, the reason it helps any percent, though, is with the Bomber's Notebook, you can actually set what are known as tattle alarms, and if you set a tattle alarm, you can have tattle try to talk to you at any time of the day on any of the days. And being able to use tattle at your leisure whenever you want is very important for one of the glitches that we do in this run.
And tattle's a good sidekick, best sidekick. Hot take. So, I'd love to say that we're home free after that first cycle, but we actually needed to get that bomb drop right there. And there's no good way to get it other than slashing these RNG bushes and praying that you find one. We just need one bomb drop to continue the run, and but if you get bad RNG, you can actually lose as much as 2 minutes trying to find a bomb, and sometimes you get so many rupees you just end up buying some from the shop. So we need to get to Mountain Village, but we don't have the bow, so we just kind of hopped on that seam there. There's a little seam between two pieces of geometry that you are allowed to side hop onto. Very convenient. And now the only thing standing in our way of getting to Mountain Village is these boulders right here. And that's what the bomb is for. So trying to get some recoil flips there. Our movement options as Child Link are pretty limited. We can back walk, side hop, and roll like usual. You can actually do a trick called a fess, which is where you hold a special position on the joystick in order to get into what's called ESS position, and you take damage and you perform a forward extended super slide. And then recoil flips are an option if you take damage as well, or if you shield damage while in midair. So trying to do that off of Tektites to go a little bit faster here.
Yeah, one of the more significant changes that the developers made with regards to speedrunning has to do with bombs. If Link either shields a bomb explosion or gets hit by a bomb explosion while he's in midair, the game will actually lock his horizontal coordinates to be where they are, and it'll just let him fall down like perfectly vertically. Because in the original game, you could do a lot of exploits with either damage boosting or long jumping or all that kind of stuff. You could also recoil flip off of bombs, which was abused a lot.
Grab some Deku Nuts here. We might use those later on in the run. They're nice to have. They're right there, really convenient. And now we're going to do our first long jump. So these invisible platforms are here, and I am a speedrunner, so I know where they are. I just need to get out there without triggering the owl text. And so if you take damage from a bomb, at a ledge there, you gain a large amount of velocity that allows you to jump all the way out to one of the last invisible platforms there. We're going to be doing a couple more long jumps in the run. Part of the thing about the changes to bombs, like Jim was talking about, is that long jumps go further in this game than they do in Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time 3D. So they're going to be useful in a couple of other places coming up. But we don't need that many bombs. 13 is probably enough for the rest of the run. One of the tricks that we used to do in an percent required 2 bombs just to set up. And it was pretty difficult to set up as well, so you often were using a lot more than 2 bombs. And the bomb count used to be very tight in the run, but we no longer do that trick. If you want to see it, you're going to have to get the Glitch Exhibition incentive met. So I'm actually mashing B while I'm climbing the ladder there. It's something that was added to this game where mashing B makes Link climb faster. It's one of those things, like I said, there's just a theme of mashing buttons that they carried throughout lots of parts of this game. Now we're going to take our second face. Darmani was a ghost, though. He's not really using it. If there's any donations, this cutscene lasts about 30 seconds or so.
Yes, we do. Got some donations. We got one here. It says $10 by Flex Plexico that says, "Please don't get bodied by Incarnation." Also, at least your first cycle wasn't as long as Nerd's first hours in his first cycle. Smiley face. And that went towards the glitch showcase. So get your donations in for that. We're less than an hour left to go on that.
Thanks, Flex. Flex Plexico is a fellow MM3D speedrunner. Occasionally he's the best Beat Saber player in Canada. So now that we have the Grand Mask, our movement options actually increase a lot. So we're going to go very fast, much faster than we were as just Child Link.
Additionally, we can now skip the Song of Soaring cutscenes whenever we play the Song of Soaring. The game forces you to watch the full Soaring cutscene once, but after that you can skip all of them.
By mashing B. We also just watched our first mask transformation cutscene. You only have to watch that the first time as well. You can skip those by mashing B. And you can skip actually all of them except for one if you put on the next transformation mask while wearing another transformation mask like I did right there. There we go.
Ooh, yeah, you don't want to fall out of bounds there.
Yeah. So in the flower slide state, just like you saw in first cycle, there's you just sort of ignore collision. Like I'm just rolling underneath fences there, and I rolled right past the garden clock town. That's actually a little early there. I want to pop out a little bit later. But what that means is that that ledge there where you roll up to clock town, you get past that collision too, and you just fall through the map and void out. You really don't want to do that. I want to leave a little bit of room for safety.
Got a $10 donation from Anonymous that says, question for Gymnast. Navi or Toddle? Who is the superior fairy?
That's easily Toddle.
Thank you. A good opinion. So, we're just gonna help our good friend Mikau to shore. Not gonna steal his face. Coming up here is the best change that they made to MM3D. When you push Mikau to shore, he gets up and he's pretty injured, so he crawls at a ridiculously slow pace to the top of the beach here. And in the original Majora's Mask, they make you watch the entire thing. Actually, speedrunners would go to great lengths to avoid watching that cutscene in the 80% run. It was really funny. But in MM3D, he just sort of teleports to the top. You know what? I actually do want his face.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it. And this cutscene also lasts about a minute, so if there's any donations.
Seeing all this Navi hate in chat. I mean, come on. I'm gonna be contrarian and just go with Navi, just for the memes. So we don't have any donations right now, but if you would like to donate at all during this event, we do have plenty of fabulous prizes you can donate towards, including a Nintendo Switch bundle, a PlayStation 4 bundle, and a Disneyland bundle. Those are all $40, $75, and $100 respectively. It does not matter when you donate. You can be entered in to have a chance to win any of those prizes at any point in the marathon. We also have some smaller bundles, such as a couple of Steam keys for a couple of games, such as just Shapes and Beats and Double Cross.
What do you say, Jim? You wanna get that Disneyland bundle and just spend all day riding Space Mountain?
Sure.
Knowing you guys, you'd probably find some way to go backwards in it too.
Space Mountain any percent. Jump from one car to another. Don't actually do that, please. That's not something you should do.
It's not on SRL. You won't get any credit for that. All right, so we have all 3 transformation masks, which is excellent. We're almost ready to start finishing dungeons. There's just one last thing we really need, and that is the most broken item in all Zelda games, a bottle. That's why they had to remove them from Breath of the Wild. They're like too broken, can't include.
Oh, it seemed like they were finally getting the hang of it around Skyward Sword.
That's true. Now it comes in handy that we picked up the Swamp Owl in first cycle. We don't have to do any trickery to get past the Skull Kid cutscene. Just so right here, we're going to pick up a stick, which is necessary for a trick later on in the run. I really wanted to get some magic there and some hearts for when we cross the swamp. So got the magic, didn't get lucky with the heart. So let's try again here. There we go. So, you were not supposed to have Goron Mask when you went through the Woods of Mystery, playing this game casually, so This goes by pretty fast, and if you try to do it with spikes out, good luck. You're just going to be bouncing off the walls left and right. So
Yeah, so having the Goron and Zora transformation masks here in the swamp and in the Woodfall Temple, which we'll be doing shortly, are very helpful. And you'll see why that they are very helpful, because it's pretty clear what they do.
I was trying to do a mask storage there when I was backflipping out of the Woods of Mystery, but I just barely missed the loading zone. When you jump and you press a mask button, you'll transform into that mask as soon as you hit the ground. And actually, if you're about to grab a ledge, you'll actually jump up on top of that ledge. So we're going to do that trick, or try to do that trick, at least 2 more times during the run. Hopefully we get it. It just saves a little bit of time. Also, when you do it in a loading zone, you skip watching even that short version of the transformation cutscene, so you save even a little bit of more time there. But yeah, we're gonna be nice for once. I know we haven't helped the Gorons like we promised, and we haven't helped Mikau's girlfriend like we promised, but we'll deliver the red potion and help this witch out. We could just walk away with it, take the bottle, use it for our nefarious purposes, but we decided to be nice today. She said that we get a reward, too, if we visit her at the Swamp Tourism.
Wait a minute, I thought you didn't speak Japanese.
Oh, oops. My secret's been revealed.
Exposed. Live on twitch.tv/Calithon.
We're gonna grab a second stick there, just for, you know, just in case the first one breaks. So I'm transforming to Child Link because the witches actually only speak to you if you're a Child Link. They don't expect you to have mini transformation masks, just a Deku mask, but they won't talk to you unless you're wearing no masks anyway. And right there, we picked up the Picto Box, which is the reward for saving Kume, but also normally after you pick up the Picto Box, you would go on a boat tour. It takes about a minute. And it's how you're supposed to get past the big octos normally. We don't need to, and so it's faster to skip it. And the way that I did it was I just stood near the door, and as long as the A button is saying open, it won't let you go on the boat tour. And so you're able to leave with the Picto Box, which is what we wanted, and head to the Deku Palace. So, a little bit of a spoiler alert. We only need one song to open a dungeon in the speedrun, and that's the Sonata of Awakening. We actually have ways to skip every other dungeon opening song, but we have to make the detour here for Sonata of Awakening, and there's an idea, a theory about a way to get into Woodfall without it. It involves getting into the temple as it is sunken underneath the swamp. The loading zone, the door, the entire temple is there on that map, just hiding under the water. And if you could somehow get into that door, you could skip the Sonata of Awakening. We just aren't quite there yet, so we have to talk to the monkey and lie one more time, say we're going to help him out, but as soon as we're done with Woodfall, we're going to ditch him. We have one goal, and one goal only, and that's to beat this game as quickly as possible. This is another kind of long cutscene, so if you have a donation, now's a good time.
Right on. We got $5 from Skull Kid. It says, hit or miss. I guess they never miss, huh? And neither will I when I hit the earth with the moon. $2 from Anonymous. It just says, thank you for doing this for charity. Also, by providing entertainment like this, you help countless people who aren't doing well themselves at home by keeping us company here at home. Y'all do more than you realize. Thanks to all the staff and runners. Thank you very much for your donation.
That song was a little bit louder than the monkey anticipated. We're going to get kicked out of here, but we want to head directly to the temple now, so that actually just serves our purposes. Upcoming is one of the actually more difficult parts of the run, but it doesn't quite look like it. We're going to be performing 2 long jumps, and one of the long jumps ends in a jump attack, and the jump attack timing and position is actually fairly precise, so we'll see. Hopefully we get it. If we don't, we have to do a little bit of trickery to get back on top of the flowers, but we managed to make it first try.
Oh, these dragonflies. Okay, nice.
Got them both. That's good. So now we don't have to... Wait. What? How did you live? All right, so we have one to worry about, and he's kind of close, but I think I'm just going to try to ignore him. Oop.
Yeah, so we only have half a heart right now. Thankfully, the dragonflies only do a quarter of a heart, but obviously we don't want to get hit at all if we can avoid it.
Right, and getting hit into the swamp, when you void out as Deku, you land on the last solid ground you were on, so it wouldn't take us all the way back to the start, and we wouldn't have to do the bomb jumps again, but it would waste a lot of time, so it was good that I was able to avoid the dragonfly there. I'm going to pick up some hearts before the temple, and then I'm going to get there as quickly as I possibly can. There's actually a way to roll through this swamp and without taking much damage at all, but we need to make it to the platform here. Nice. Whoa. Camera was doing some weird stuff. And since we don't have the hook shot, the easiest way to get here is the only way to get here is through this flower. So we take the safe. We don't take the safe route through the swamp. I landed just on the edge of this platform here. They allow you to play the song anywhere on this platform, and you'll notice that there was normally a title text trigger there that lets you know that, hey, you should think about playing a special song here. And I was able to skip it for now. It's actually going to happen right after this cutscene ends because Tattle's really bad at game continuity. Yeah, we know. Okay, and now we are going to start the first of the 4 temples. This is one of the longer ones at, you say about 5 minutes if everything goes well?
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
Alright, so we're just gonna roll up onto this stump here, and then we'll access this flower, but we're gonna actually skip using it. We're just going to place a bomb down and long jump over here. And now is the really impressive one. This long jump is a little bit tricky to set up. Luckily, Jim on the couch came up with a pretty consistent setup for this. Ooh, that's bad. So we ended up in the water, which means we're going to have to void out twice as Goron Link. So there actually was a little bit of a failsafe that they introduced into MM3D for if you ended up as Goron Link in water, they didn't want you to be stuck there voiding out endlessly. So if you void out twice in a row, you end up back at the start of the room you were in. So I'm looking at where my foot is on the platform, and I'm trying to get to the very edge to get the bomb jump, but I'm having a little bit of trouble lining it up quite right. We used to get the hook shot in any %, and we just hook shot to the torch here, but we found a way to skip it, and it makes not getting it just a little bit faster. You just have to get this set up right. There we go, that looks good.
There we go. Yeah, that jump is tricky because you don't want to be too far to the left. Otherwise, you're going to hit the torch as Zorlink, and when Zorlink touches a fire source, he voids out. So you need to be just on the platform enough so that you don't touch the torch but are still considered to be on the platform so you can get the jump after it.
So that was the world's shortest mini-boss fight, because we have Goron Link, and the Denalphos dies to 1 Goron ground pound. Now we have the bow. So the bow plus the Pictobox plus Goron Link is going to equal some shenanigans. I'm just going to do restricted items again to allow Goron Link to pull out the bow. Alright, not enough shenaniganry there. Let's set that up again.
Yeah, so with restricted items, Mega's attempting to pull out the bow as Goron Link, and then he's attempting to get some speed while he has the bow out, because having the bow out screws up the speed calculation used to determine Goron Link's speed. And we can just kind of fly through the air when we set it up correctly.
So we're in the vast blackness of space. I'm actually using the mini-map to navigate. I know where the boss door is, and so I'm just trying to get to the boss from where I started. And luckily, because the 3DS version, you have the map out at all times, you can see where you are. It makes it very easy to navigate to the boss door, assuming you get out of bounds. Now it's the Adola fight. The boss fights are one of the major changes to MM3D. Now, instead of being able to do damage to the boss by hitting the boss, you have to first stun the boss and then reveal the Eye of Majora. Then you have to damage the eye, so... Ooh, he almost got the snot off there. So there's a pattern to how many hits it takes to stun Adola, and then a pattern to how much damage you can do per cycle. Oh, come on. Rude. Sometimes his knee has a really weird hitbox, so it doesn't record the Zora Fin Slash, but still got through the boss fight without too much trouble.
Yeah, so right here, Mega's going to be collecting the heart container. This actually doesn't waste any time because we need to wait a certain amount of time before we can collect the remains anyway.
Yeah,
so
if I went straight to the remains, I would actually stand there, look kind of dumb for a while, and then pick them up. So, and having the heart container, especially for some of the harder boss fights, is definitely a good thing. In addition to changing how you do damage to the bosses, they also change some of these boss fights to be harder than the original, so definitely like to have any extra health we can justify picking up. This is us learning the Oath to Order. You have to watch one Giants cutscene in order to beat Majora's Mask, either the N64 version or the 3DS remake, in order to learn Oath to Order. If you skip the first Giants cutscene, you will not be able to beat the game because you'll never be able to learn the song. Unfortunately, because of the changes to the way Song of Time work, we can't skip the Giants cutscenes in the same way that the N64 version is able to skip the rest of the Giants cutscenes. So we will be watching all of them. We actually can skip one, but it turns out to not be useful for any of the categories besides all fairy rewards, which is the best category. Everybody should run it.
yeah, there are certain dependencies that we require for watching some of the Giants cutscenes, and by skipping the Giants cutscenes, those dependencies that we want to fall into place never happen.
Exactly. So, like, watching the Woodfall Giants cutscene turns the swamp into not poisonous, and then in Snowhead it melts the snow. In Great Bay it does something, I don't really know. And same with Ikana. But those particular dependencies, specifically the Snowhead one, make it so that you really can't skip that Giants cutscene, and that's the only one that we've been able to find a skip for. So 100% and all masks, unfortunately, cannot make use of the Goat Giants cutscene skip. Okay, so we sort of assembled Voltron when we picked up the bow, had the Picto Box and the Goron mask. We have the Goron missile is what the trick is called, and it is the fastest movement in the game. You gain exponential speed, potentially, when you do the Goron missile. I gained a pretty modest amount of speed in order to get to the boss fight here, but you'll see in a second, we're gonna be going fast. And even though we're already an hour into the run almost, we're going to be wrapping up the run very quickly from here on out. We do have to watch this cutscene. If we were able to complete any of the other bosses before Adolwa, we could skip watching this cutscene. And you actually could fight Twinwold before Adolwa, but you're right there, and you have the bow, and you have very easy access to the Adolwa fight from there, so it doesn't really make sense to leave after you get it. And you need the bow in order to beat Twinwold, so you can't do that before getting the bow. It just doesn't really work out, so we end up watching that cutscene.
Yeah, so this Goron missile right here is a bit easier to visualize.
There you go. Just sort of point and click and Goron pound, and that's where you go. So we're going to point, we're going to do restricted items, click, and then we go where we want to go. Now we're in Akana. So the thing about the fairy fountains is that they're all loaded when you enter one of them, but only the textures for the one that you enter is loaded. So all I did was point myself at the loading zone for the exit to the Akana fairy fountain, and performed the Goron missile, got an adequate amount of speed, and entered the loading zone, just like right here. I got enough speed to clip through the door, enter the loading zone for the Music Box house. I'm going to be picking up the Gibdo mask here. I already said that we're not going to learn LG of Emptiness, but we still need the Gibdo mask. It's very important for this run, for reasons that will become clear over the next 20 minutes or so, but we'll explain as we go. It's a little complex, but we'll walk you through it, and hopefully you'll be able to understand and appreciate just the sort of madness that's about to happen. Hey, it's the first time we ripped someone's face off and no one was sad afterwards. Alright, we're going to go back to Mountain Village, and we're going to set up the trick that involves the Gibdo mask right away. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to get rid of the Gibdo mask. It's great, but we don't need it as a mask, we need it as a bottle. So I'm going to do something called ESS bottle duping. So, like I was talking about with forward extended super slide, I'm going to hold my controller just outside of the range of motion, which allows me to equip the mask after I press the bottle button. So the way the bottles work is when you empty a bottle, instead of finding that bottle in memory and emptying it, the game writes an empty bottle where the last button you pressed was, and so by holding ESS position with the bottle out, and then emptying the bottle contents and pressing the mask button, I was able to overwrite the Gibdo mask over the, write an empty bottle over the Gibdo mask slot. So we're going to, let me just catch hot spring water here and see what happens.
Should be okay.
We're on the third day, so we're gonna wait for roughly 50 seconds. So we're changing our day here, and that's very important for a trick coming up. So when we catch hot spring water in a Gibdo mask duped bottle, it does two things. It changes our day, and it changes how fast the flow of time is going. And so we need it to be a very specific day in order to perform a wrong warp. And the reason we need it to be that day is because we need a specific cutscene to play after the day ends. So we're going to wait here for a while. I can actually set the alarm that I need later on while I'm waiting. Picked up some extra sticks too, just for good luck.
Almost there.
Almost there. Should have done some moose hops while I was waiting. Alright, we're going to
I think we can save the moose hops for the glitch exhibition.
Yeah.
Speaking of the glitch exhibition, we actually had one of our donations from earlier had not been put to that, and that has been since fixed. So that donation incentive for the glitch exhibition has been met. Thank you everyone so much for donating.
Thank you. Got some cool stuff to show off when we're done here.
It's not the only glitch exhibition we have, though. So the run after this is going to be Titanfall, or run 2 runs after this is going to be Titanfall 2, and that has a glitch exhibition at $250, currently sitting at $62. So you still have more glitches to check out if you want to put your money towards any incentives. Those are some of the upcoming ones.
Okay, so my cycle timer is a little bit off. When I started the game, I started a secondary timer to keep track of how long the game has been on. And I lost a little bit of count of my home menu buffers, which is very dangerous. So right now we're in a day. Let's call it the first day. That's mostly accurate. We're actually in the day somewhere around the range of 100 and probably 50-ish. It's not important exactly what day it is, as long as it's like the first day, because if it's like the first day, then at the end of it we'll get a night-to-day transition cutscene, and when night-to-day transition cutscene happens on a day after day 4, you'll see the dawn of a new day cutscene. That is what's going to allow us to wrong warp later on in the run. So we set that up now, and now we're going to do the actual longest dungeon in the game, which is Stone Tower Temple.
Yeah, so in total, there are actually about 255 different day values that you can set using the Gibdo Mask bottle.
The only days you have to watch out for are days that are like the third day, because they don't have a night-to-day transition cutscene at the end. They have a moon crash at the end, just like the normal game. So you can tell we're in an odd day because the sky in this dungeon is bright red, just like the moon is about to fall. And you also can't see the in-game time anymore. The clock doesn't know what to do when your day is greater than a value of 3, so it just doesn't show anything.
Also, no, you're not normally supposed to be able to just dump spring water on sunblocks
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
have them erode
Probably
away.
should have mentioned that. It was recently discovered, actually in the original Majora's Mask, that spring water, both hot and normal spring water, has the properties of all of the elemental arrows. So you can use them to melt sunblocks or activate sun switches in this dungeon. So we use it to get to this small key a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's important to note, though, that the spring water has to hit a side face of the block. It can't hit the ground, like, next to the block, if that's the same ground the block is on. So we can only do it on that last sunblock because there's a very slight step that the sunblock is sort of put on that allows us to dump the spring water onto the side face.
Yeah, you saw that little ledge as I Goron voided out to get back to that part of the room, because that's the room that I entered, and you could see the little ledge where the block was below that, allowing that trick to work. So now we're going to do a Goron missile.
Nice.
First try. That is the hardest Goron missile in the game to get consistently. Yeah, that's fine. So, we're trying to get past the sunblock there, and if you get enough speed and your angle is just perfect and you don't get caught on the pillar, then you, you just clip right past the block. That was another quick flower slide just to scoot underneath that wall there. A little bit faster than flying around. I'd say probably 30 seconds faster. So now it's the Garo Master fight. Okay. It's a four cycle fight. If you get the Goron ground pounds, they do 4 damage each. And then a Goron punch will do 2 damage. And you just need to do 14 damage. So that's 3 ground pounds, 1 punch. If you get the ground pounds off in the first 3 cycles, you can end with the punch, and it's you can punch him right as he's coming at you. It's very cool to watch, but the hitbox for Garo Master is a little bit weird, which is something I'll probably say a lot in this run, because the hitbox for things in this game are kind of weird. Now we have the light arrows. The reason why we need to pick up the light arrows is because we want to Goron missile to the loading zone of the boss fight in this dungeon, just like we did in Woodfall. But the loading zone for the boss fight doesn't exist in this version of the temple. We need to go to Inverted Stone Tower Temple to have the boss loading zone appear. And so we need the light arrows to flip the temple. If we could find a way to flip the temple without light arrows, or find a way to shoot a light arrow without collecting light arrows, which sounds weird, but is kind of technically possible, we could skip the first half of this dungeon and just go directly to the boss fight like in Woodfall. But because we can't, that makes Stone Tower Temple the longest dungeon in the game at about 7 minutes.
So I had somebody ask this and got me curious, actually. What kind of DS is that, or 3DS is that?
This is the Pikachu Special Yellow Edition of the new 3DS XL. It has a really cute Pikachu on the back. I like it.
I didn't even know they made any yellow 3DSs out there, actually.
Yeah, it was... Ooh, that's no good. It's just for this special Pikachu edition, I think. Probably when Sun and Moon came out. That's a failed RI. I'm just bleeding money from nerds left and right. So, we're trying to get to the boss loading zone, and so we need to get out of bounds. It's kind of tricky to get out of bounds in this room. We need to pick up enough speed and have a good enough angle. There we go. We're in space again. Space. And if you just look at the bottom screen, in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see my little arrow. I'm navigating my way to the boss loading zone. I ended up a little bit farther out than I wanted to, but we have plenty of time to get there. And there you go. That's Inverted Stone Tower Temple.
One room of it.
Those tricks are boss key skips, but considering how much they skip, I like to think of them more as dungeon skips. But you are technically skipping getting the boss key. We haven't gotten a boss key in MM3D 80% since mid-2016, I want to say. So the Twin Mold fight is very much changed from the original game. You now have to fight blue Twin Mold first with arrows. And you can't do any damage to red Twin Mold in this phase of the fight. So we're just going to be trying to not get owned by red Twin Mold. There he goes. You can make him go away for a while by hitting him with a red, or hitting him in the tail with a light arrow. So we're going to do that to try and manage him. He does 2 hearts of damage if he hits me. And I only have 4 hearts right now, so we definitely want to avoid that if possible.
Yeah, one of the good things about the Gibdo bottle adventure that we did, though, is that we actually have a fairy in a bottle right now that will be activated should we accidentally die during this fight, which is really nice. And this is where we can see the gyro of the 3DS on full display.
Yeah, you really want to have gyro aiming on. I think it's the superior way to aim the bow in this game. So one more hit on the Eye of Blue ends the first phase of the fight. And we move on to phase 2. So they changed the fight, and they actually require that you use the Giant's Mask. It's optional in the original game. And so they also changed where you get the Giant's Mask. We're actually going to be gifted the Giant's Mask right here, because if they put it in the dungeon in a chest you could easily skip, that might cause problems for you once you got to the boss fight. So they moved it to right here, and we're going to collect it now. Maybe we'll even equip it before the next cutscene starts. What do you say, Jim?
Good luck. Oh, wow.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, so you have 1 frame there to equip the Giant's Mask. It doesn't really save time, but it's fun to do. But you have to be very careful, because you could also equip the Giant's Mask before this cutscene starts. You have another frame to do that. It's another frame-perfect trick. It's a really cool frame-perfect trick where the game crashes after you do it, so definitely want to avoid that. We're getting a really aggressive pattern here from Red. He's going to come right at me. So I'm just going to grab a boulder instead, because I don't really want to mess with him. There are 2 boulders in this arena. If there were 3, I would love this fight. But there are 2. And so, unfortunately, we have to knock Twin Mold down at least once by punching him. So once you stun Red Twin Mold in this fight with Giant's Mask, you do a wrestling move, you scream really loud, and then you move on to the next phase of the fight. It's very important to move the circle pad in a counterclockwise direction, because it makes this fight a 3-cycle fight instead of a 4-cycle fight.
Man, WWE ain't got nothing on this.
We're gonna try and get the punches in here. Didn't get exactly a great pattern. It's 10 punches to knock Twinwall down. That was 4, and then he just came right at us.
All right, nice.
Nice. All right. And that's a little early. There we go. We're gonna play Song of Double Time here. We need to have the day end after this boss fight. I'm gonna play it a little safe and go 1 hour before, just in case anything weird happens at the end of this fight. Especially if Twin Mold decides to spawn more of the little Twin Mold spawn that he creates. You can prevent Twin Mold from producing any more Twin Mold spawn by leaving one alive during the course of this fight. And it's generally better to do that because, for one thing, the Twin Mold spawn attack takes longer than that fireball attack that he just did instead. And also, the Twin Mold spawn, when he spawns in the second time, he spawns 15 instead of 5, and only 5 will attack you at a time, but they are a lot harder to kill after he spawns a second round of them, so you definitely want to leave one alive if possible. I just accidentally rolled into one. But that's the end of the fight right there. Not too bad. We actually have plenty of time to make it to this spot. I normally set the day to end a little bit quicker. When I play Song of Double Time, I set it to the last hour to give myself just enough time to make it to where I need to go after this fight. But I wanted to play it safe because we're in a weird wrong warp day. I didn't want to take any chances.
Yeah, the thing about, or one of the complexities about using the internal hot spring water timer as a way of like setting your day is that there are actually some days you can set which are the real days that the game uses. And if you manage to set the day to one of those real days, you obviously won't get a wrong warp out of it. But thankfully, we know mathematically when we get those days because the timer will have been going on for a certain amount of time.
Exactly. It's also common practice to only wrong warp in certain days that are called the fourth day. Because one special property of the fourth day is that it doesn't end unless there is a night-to-day transition cutscene that plays. If it were to end, it would loop back to the beginning. But I am in a day that is called the first day. So when it ends, the second day will begin. Not the real second day. This is all a little technical, but suffice to say, it was riskier for me to end this day during the boss fight than it would have been normally. So I wanted to play it extra safe. So we saved Akana for, all of the 2 residents that live here. I guess 3 if you count Tingle.
Maybe the dead king will be happy.
And now the day is ending, which is exactly what we want. But we need to be in a very specific spot. So we're going to get there a little bit leisurely because we have some extra time. And what's going to happen is the Dawn of a New Day cutscene is going to play. That's the cutscene that plays after you beat the game. It has white text, or it has black text in a white background versus the normal black text and white background. And what that does is it adds a special cutscene offset to the map load variable, which loads a very specific version of the Termina Field map at the end of the game. But when you do that on a map that's not Termina Field, you end up loading a different map. And we have discovered a couple of useful warps by doing this Dawn of a New Day wrong warp, and this is one of them. We're just going to hang out here until the day ends. Here it comes. We're just going to look at this wall. It's a nice little wall here.
And a nice updated texture from the original game.
Yeah. Look at how much work Grezzo put into this wall. And then here you go. We're going to get white text on a black background here because I did a first day wrong warp, so that said dawn of the second day there in the center, which is a little bit weird. But we still got the white background from the dawn of the new day cutscene. And now we're in the goat boss fight room. I just quickly did a trick called Action Swap. It's where I pulled out the Deku Stick while I was holding the bow, and I talked to Tattle at the same time, which is why I set the Tattle alarm for the beginning of the first day. It's the first day because in the final cutscene that plays after you beat the game, they really wanted it to be the first day for the sky. The sky of the first day looks really pretty, and so part of the Dawn of a New Day cutscene is it sets the day to 1, which means that my first day alarm went off just when I needed it to. Ooh, that was awkward, but we made it work. I'm just going to quickly equip the light arrows here, and
Yeah, so like all the other bosses, we have to knock Goat down at least 3 times right here. Thankfully with a light arrow and some more quick arrow shots, we can knock him down immediately after we do all the damage that we want to do to the eye.
So I'm doing a very specific amount of damage to the eye, because this fight, more than the others, is difficult to make a 3-cycle fight. I didn't hit him with the last arrow. Okay, that's fine. We'll just chase him a little bit. In order to make sure that this fight is 3 cycles, you need to maximize the amount of damage you do in each cycle. And he gets up after a certain amount of damage is dealt. And so on the last hit of damage, I want to do 2 points of damage, because it cuts an extra cycle out of this fight. Well, I didn't hit him with 2 arrows. Interesting. So the first cycle is 5 normal arrows and then a light arrow to do 2 hits of damage. The second cycle it's 4 arrows and then a light arrow, and then the last one it's 5 and a light arrow again to finish the fight. A little bit sloppy, but still not too bad. And that's our 3rd remains. We don't have a lot of time left in the run, but we should have pretty much just enough time, I think, to get the last remains and finish off the Majora fight. Might run a little bit over because of the sloppy first cycle. I'm going to pick up the Harpiece here just for extra marathon safety on the Majora fight. Normally I'd skip that heart container, but we do an interesting version of the Majora fight that, as Flex alluded to, might end in us getting bodied, so we want to play it a little extra safe here.
Yeah, there are some pretty risky strats you can go for in the Majora fight, which hopefully we'll be seeing the successful version of today.
Yeah.
But before that happens, we still have to go beat Georg, George, who's the boss of the Great Bay Temple.
We have to get there too, and I don't have any of the eggs, so...
Oh, that's a shame. Well, you have the bottle, right? We can go collect all 7 of them with that single bottle.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, it'd take a little bit of time, but I think we got 14 minutes, a little less than that. Probably get it done.
Got time for quick donation?
Yeah.
All right, we got $5 from Nat that says, gonna do this now and drop this for Jim's stream. By the way, hi Jim.
Hi, Nat.
Let's keep it classic and name the file Read. Yes, all caps.
We ended up keeping our promise to our money in the end and saving the Gorons. And now, because my cycle timer's a little messed up, I'm going to do a trick here to wrong warp a little bit safer to George, but I have to set up my equip menu in a very specific way. I actually want bow there. There we go. And then we're going to save for extra safety, just in case. We're going to catch bugs here. And then we're going to backwalk as quickly as we can to this Gossip Stone here. We're going to attempt to put on the Goron mask, but then hold the shield to prevent it from happening. And then we're going to get something called Song Storage. So I did time stop in front of a Gossip Stone, which allows me to play Ocarina while time stop is happening, which allows me to play Ocarina while moving. So I've actually just stored the inverted Song of Time. it's very important that I stored it with Goron Mask on X, so I can actually take Goron Mask off.
Nice hole-in-one, by the way.
Thank you. All right. So if I'm right, I want to catch Hot Spring Water in what I think is the 3rd day cycle, so we're going to wait a little bit of time here. Actually, this should, well, let's play it safe.
You've saved, and we don't really know where it is
That's
anyway.
true. Let's go. All right, so we caught Hot Spring Water, which set our day, but the flow of time isn't moving until I finish pressing no on this prompt. So now flow of time is moving very quickly, and this day is about to end. That was the 3rd day. That is a moon crash. So we're just going to reload that save. We have to reset the cycle timer when we quit the game, because it keeps track of how much time since the game has been turned on. So resetting resets the cycle timer, which is fine. It means we'll be able to do the safe wrong warp instead. So what you do by doing inverted Song of Time storage is you still allow yourself to change the day, but instead of letting the flow of time flow right after you catch the hot spring water in the bottle, you delay it until you respond to the prompt from the inverted Song of Time. So it allows you to catch hot spring water in any day and still complete the Gjord wrong warp, but we're going to have to wait until quite a while, because this 4th day is actually not a valid wrong warp.
Yeah, I have to wait a little
So,
2 minutes.
If there are any donations, now is an excellent time.
All right, none since the last one, but just wanted to remind everyone, so we have an overall goal for the marathon, which if we get to 20,000 by tomorrow, we will actually be we'll be upgrading the Super Mario 64 run from 16 star to 70 star by Vinny. So get your donations in. Anything you donate towards, all of that is getting put towards that goal. And of course, we still have plenty of incentives that you can donate towards, and plenty of prizes that you're eligible to win. So check those out on our Tiltify, and you can find that just by typing in calithon.com.
I don't know if maybe you want to start the glitch exhibition early with some boost hops,
Since
Mega.
we got some time, all you have to do is set up Goron Missile and then hold L, and you can hold the bow. And Goron Link does this ridiculous back jump, where his legs just go around his body. Also, you can, in midair, you can fire arrows by just pressing B. So I'm just hopping and firing arrows. You don't want to be Goron Link, though, when you do this wrong warp. This wrong warp is going to put me in the Gjord boss fight room. And if you are in the Gjord boss fight room as Goron Link, you just sort of drown until you void out many times, then you get sent back to before the wrong warp. But the flow of time is moving at very high speed, so you end up moon crashing after you get sent back. So that's why when I was setting up Inverted Song of Time storage, it was very important that I put Goron Mask on a button that I could press to take it off. When you do Inverted Song of Time storage, only the X and Y buttons work. So you need to have Goron Mask on one of those, and you need to have it be X because you don't need it to play the song. Okay, so now time's going to kind of freak out for a while, but luckily it's not going too fast.
Negative 21 hours remaining.
We made it. Dawn of a new day. So time is still going to be moving pretty quickly, so I'm actually mashing furiously the Ocarina button. I need to play Inverted Song of Time to return the flow of time to normal.
Yeah. If you watch the lower bar right here, you'll see it's just going to zoom across the screen. Ooh, you're...
This is troublesome.
Okay.
I need to play Inverted Song of Time again, and even then I might not have quite enough time to finish this fight. We'll see. We are in the final hours and towards the end of them as well. So the flow of time is completely random after you do the Gibdo Mask BA. Oh, yeah, this is plenty of time, actually.
Yeah.
So flow of time is completely random. We have no control over it. And you just have to hope that it's not moving too fast that you instantly moon crash after you do the wrong warp. So the first phase of the Gjord fight is pretty similar to the N64 version. You just sort of following Gjord around, hitting him with arrows, trying not to get pushed by him. That's okay.
Yeah, it works best when Georg is far away from the center of the platform, so you don't have to move the gyro as much.
Okay. There we go. Perfect for the final phase. He's kind of far out, which is unfortunate. I'm going to try to do a faster version of this fight where I get a quick knockdown on Georg right away at the start of the second phase, but I need to get some damage off. That was only one, so we might not be able to do this now. Just going to follow Georg around. He's going to release some fish. Yeah, not quite enough damage. So you need to do 5 hits on Georg in order to knock him down at the start of this fight. And we only got what sounded like 4 off. So it was because at the end of the first phase of the fight, he was a little bit too far away from the center platform, and so I wasn't able to get as many quick hits off on him. Okay. This is a decent first mine placement. The reason why you want to get a quick hit off, it's not only faster, but these mine spawns can be a little bit uncooperative, and so you want to limit the amount of time you spend getting Georg to vacuum up these mines into his mouth. See, like right there, there's not really one that's particularly close. We could go for this one, but I think it's best to just wait for Georg to move. Nope, Georg decided that he wanted to have a taste anyway.
Yeah, the mines can also be pretty finicky also sometimes. Like, sometimes the mine will go towards Georg as he's attempting to vacuum up Zoralink, but the mine will just, like, get stuck on the corner of Georg's mouth or something and won't actually go in.
Yeah, so Georg directionally, like, where he's facing determines, like, where the mines go, so if you keep, like, the mine between him and his face, then you get a pretty quick. But if he's facing too far in one direction or the other, the mine will just surface instead and blow up on the surface, and you don't get to damage Georg. This fight can become quite messy. So you want to keep Georg between you and the mines, because he'll stop on the opposite side of the arena from you. He tries to stop as far away from you as possible. So in order to get a mine between you and Georg, it's best to stay on the opposite side of the arena as the mines. Okay.
This fight is not as exciting with the final day's music, or the final hour's music playing.
It's true. It is nice and moody, though.
Alright, so now that we have the 4 remains, we can go off to fight Majora.
We just need to summon the giants to stop the moon from falling. So
Real quick, we got a $20 donation from PJ Tom. It says, tell Megahertz he's doing a great job. Really enjoying the run.
thanks, Tom.
Also, file name Re for OOT3D. I'm probably not putting enough emphasis into that, but...
Re!
There we go.
So this giant is actually the reason why running on Japanese is just a little bit faster. He has a piece of text here that scrolls 1 character at a time on English and on Japanese, but on Japanese it's just 5 characters, or 6? It was 6. And then on English it's significantly more than that, but it takes the same, it scrolls 1 at a time just like that, so...
Also, the turtle is like this weird turtle-rock hybrid. No pun intended towards Link to the Past.
So one nice thing about it being the final hours after the Georg fight is we get to skip the last Goron missile in the run. There's a Goron missile to get into the clock tower to start the final sequence. It's actually not that hard, and it's kind of neat looking, but we don't have to do it, so we're not going to. We do need Deku Sticks, though. It's very important that you're Goron Link during this cutscene, for reasons.
This cutscene looking normal is actually a little bit weird.
Right.
Because usually this cutscene does not look normal because the sky resembles whatever day it is when you Goron missile into here.
Yeah, so this cutscene with the night of the second day sky, it's nice and cloudy and overcast and dark. I really like that version of this cutscene. But we get the vanilla version. One interesting thing about this sequence is it actually prevents you from changing masks or changing equipment when you're in this area. So if you want to watch this cutscene as Goron Link, you actually have to enter as Goron Link, which is what we do normally because we normally Goron missile into the loading zone. But if you walk in, whatever mask you walk in as, that's the mask you're going to watch this cutscene as. And this one's a long one, so I'm going to get my shout-outs out of the way here. I want to shout out first the organizers of the event, Direct Relief, and all the volunteers and all the staff. You guys have been amazing, putting on a good show for a good cause. And then I also want to shout out the MM3D community, Jim behind me, and everybody else, Flex, Nerds, Ben Stevens, Gabby El Nuevo, Jamama, Aaron. There's so many people. Legend of Zelda LF. They've all, in the course of the time of me running this game, become my friends. And I really appreciate all of you. Iwabi74, the world record holder, Legend of Zahir. They're all amazing runners. If they're ever streaming any game, you guys should always check it out. And then I'd like to thank, shout out, just like family and friends. They are in a lot of the reasons why I'm here. So special shout out to you guys as well. Here we are at the end. We got quite a bit of talking to get through, so if there are any donations, go ahead and read them now.
Certainly. Got $20 from our own Ectasis. Says, wanted big rig, but donated for Bogeyman. I believe that's for Silent Hill. Because that's what Konami would have wanted. We also got a lot of supporters here in chat, some of whom you've mentioned.
Yeah, I hope I mentioned everybody. If I missed anybody's name, it was not on purpose. We're not a huge community, but we're pretty tight-knit, and I appreciate all of you.
That's not creepy.
Twist. You actually have to fight another boss. Who would have guessed?
What? The game doesn't end by just playing a song?
Not sure exactly what that said, but probably something like oms noms noms. Noms noms.
Nom nom nom. The giants are preventing the moon from getting its much wanted snack.
Luckily they did not skip leg day. They're actually all leg.
So does that mean every day is their day?
Every day. It's their day.
What a life that must be to live.
And now, that's why you have to watch that cutscene as Goron Link. Best noise.
I didn't realize we wrong warped into a Windows XP operating system.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. You're going to want to start as Zora Link, and it actually is important that you put on the Zora mask before you watch this cutscene. It actually moves you a little bit closer to Majora than if you watch this cutscene as Child Link. I think it's to get the right angle of him looking up there. The Majora fight is in 3 phases. First phase is Majora's Mask. We're just going to want to knock Majora over. I'm going to run out of magic here. It's going to be a problem.
Yeah, so normally we want to do 3 light arrow shots on the stun mask and then 1 shot of the Zora fins, so Mega's going to have to collect magic in the pots around the room.
I think that I'll just probably go on punch instead.
Oh, okay. He also wants to make sure to keep the other masked remains off screen, otherwise they're going to try and shoot him.
I have to not be looking at them. Like, if Link looks at them, they will fire. So, in the original game, you have to make sure that the camera is not facing them, but in this version of the game, you have to make sure that Link is not facing them. So at the very end of that phase, I turned around to make them all fire at once. So at the start of this phase, they have to charge up before they fire at me. Just to hopefully make this phase go a little bit cleaner. So if we were really lucky, we could have gotten a quick stun off on Majora there, but Majora didn't run right past me, so we have to knock him down with the arrow.
Yeah, so this phase is definitely the most chaotic.
That attack stun locks you and does massive amounts of damage. You definitely want to avoid it. You can actually get so unlucky that Majora will just chain stun locks on you. If you are unlucky enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So we're trying to stun lock Majora ourselves with go on ground pounds and punches. We're having a little bit of trouble here. You have to punch him just a little bit after he gets up. And then the remains, whenever we look at them, will fire, so they are making our lives a little bit more difficult. There we go. So now the remains are going to work for us. They do a Great Fairy Sword jump attack amount of damage to Majora when they hit. So we're going to stun Majora as quickly as we can. And try to get the remains. There we go. So that's 1 hit. It's 3 hits to finish the fight. Majora stun locked us there, so I'm just gonna jump attack instead. Alright, we have a shot lined up. And it's done. Time. Wow. That was quite a run, obviously, going well over estimate. Many things went wrong, but that boss fight was pretty fun.
Yeah, the remains were a bit nicer than they usually are.
Yeah, it's just all about managing to not look at them. They don't want to be looked at, so.
Anyway, I think we have a glitch exhibition.
That's right, the incentive got met, so let's
now.
jump right into that, because obviously we need to make it go quickly. So let's just load this other Majora's Mask right here.
You have 2 Majora's Mask 3Ds?
know.
You're so cool.
So cool. I hear the more Majora's Mask 3Ds you have on your 3DS, the cooler you are. So let's start out with a classic from the old version of Any%. when we used to get the hook shot and we skipped getting the Goron mask, we discovered this trick in 2016 that is sort of like our version of the weird shot. It's called the extended hook shot. And what it does is the hook shot, when it goes out, instead of returning to its initial starting position after you fire it, it updates its starting position to where it ended up at. And so you can use that to extend the hook shot out infinitely until you hit what you need to hit. And so we use this to skip boss keys and skip Elegy of Emptiness, and just the run looked very different than it does today. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of cleanup and deal with this keys, because the keys can cause trouble if I don't. I'm gonna equip bombs here. So in order to get the trick to work, you need to get something called first person glitch. And in order to get first person glitch, you need to place 2 bombs and shield the damage and let go of the view button at just the right time. That'll do. Alright, so now we're just going to fire our hook shot really quickly a couple times. And you saw we hit that platform up there, which is exactly what we want to do. Now we're going to roll up to this BMOS without having it fire on us. And then we're going to exit the glitch, and we just end up on top of Stone Tower Temple, and this is how we used to enter Stone Tower Temple. So let's see. So that was, like I said, discovered in 2016, and just completely changed the way we did the entire speedrun. And then we found Goron missiles in 2017, which again completely changed the way we do the 80% category, and we now no longer get the hook shot at all. So I'm just going to enter Great Bay Temple here. One of the best parts about all fairy rewards is you are forced to do all of the dungeons, because the dungeons actually have really interesting glitches. So I'm going to enter Great Bay Temple and show probably one of the more interesting glitches that you do in that temple. It's usually done right at the end, but we're just gonna show it off at the beginning. Oh, apparently I beat Georg on this file, so we're gonna see a little cutscene here. This just wants us to take us back to the Georg fight, but I really don't want to fight Georg again. That was kind of a messy Georg fight.
The Georg fight is actually extremely cool if you have ice arrows, but unfortunately ice arrows take too long to get.
Yeah, with ice arrows you can completely change the way you do the third phase of that fight, or the second phase of that fight. And you never have to transform into Zora Link at all. Okay, let's see if we can't do a quick Goron missile here. There we go, perfect. Okay. It's actually going to make this a lot easier if we really quickly enter another room, just in case we mess this up. So I'm going to perform mask storage here, and then I'm going to unequip the mask that I performed storage with, so that was the Goron mask, and now I have something that is called Down A, and it allows me to just pass through the water here. So that's a way to get to this room without ice arrows, and now I'm going to perform what is called the turnkey skip, and that is a way to completely skip doing this temple the normal way. Normally, okay, that works. Normally when you do this temple, you have to push a bunch of switches to change like where water is flowing and which direction this turnkey is moving, but there is a way to skip all of that, and it's called the turnkey skip. I just have to get into position here. So I have to do something called a ledge clip in order to set it up, which means I have to target at the same frame that I am falling off of a ledge. And what that does is that it puts me on the inside of the ledge instead of on the outside. So I have 2 target buttons, so I'm kind of just mashing target on my 2 target buttons because I have the new 3DS XL. But you can also do a roll setup and home buffer to hit L on the perfect frame.
It's unfortunate that you can't do side rolls in this game.
There we go. Okay, so now we're here. We have to be very careful because out of bounds water actually will void you out. So I'm going to just move forward and then dive. There we go. So we hit out of bounds water there, which is why I entered this door, so I can set this up a little bit more quickly. We'll give this one more try. And if not, we'll just show off one last thing and call it a day. So that's an example of Zora Link diving when you don't really want him to.
Yeah. That's where the game normally checks to see if you're holding the A button.
Right.
When you roll off of a ledge.
This room is just so many unnecessary divings happen in this room, but it's just how it is. There we go. Got the ledge clip first try. So we just need to make sure that we don't wander too far. Alright, that's okay. We're going to soar out of here. So what you do with the turnkey skip is you take a very specific path through out-of-bounds water that doesn't void you out, and you end up in an unloaded version of the room, which allows you to collect the last two fairies and enter the boss fight without moving any of the parts of the dungeon at all. It's a essential part to the 100% and all fairy rewards categories. But we'll just show off one last thing. It involves a bottle adventure. So I actually want to reset the cycle timer here because I need to know when I'm catching hot spring water. So Gibdo Bottle Adventure is obviously very useful for the speedrun, but we tried Bottle Adventure on all the masks to find out what they do. And so one of the more interesting ones is Cafe's mask. So I got Cafe's mask on this file, and I'm going to dupe over it. Let's see. There we go. So now I have a Cafe mask dupe bottle. And let's go see what happens when we catch hot spring water in this bottle. So the one thing about the bottle adventures is they usually don't take, or some of them don't take effect until after you have exited the grotto. And that's because they're changing a variable that changes on map load. And so it's going to look like when I catch hot spring water in this cafe bottle that it didn't do anything. But in fact, when I load a new map, you'll see exactly what it did.
Does it matter when you catch it for this one?
No, it doesn't. I can catch it right now. But
yeah.
We are going to set up a wrong warp at the same time. So Cafe's mask also changes your time of day. It changes it to the same value every time. That's because the timer of hot spring water has a lot of different values, and some of them update very quickly, and some of them update very slowly. So the value for flow of time updates very quickly. That's why it's random what flow of time you get when you do Gibdo Bottle Adventure, versus the day updates every 16 seconds or so. So it's a little bit easier to control. With the Cafe's mask one, it changes the time to 2:50, what was it, 4 or something like that, a.m. every time, because that's a value that updates very slowly. And another value that updates slowly is the one that creates the interesting effect that you're going to see as soon as I load a new map. But first, let's set up a wrong warp.
Negative 14 hours.
Morning of the second day is interesting what it says, but it's very much night of the fourth day. The game really just doesn't know what to do with you when you're in the fourth day. So we're going to make the day end as quickly as we can. Then we're going to go out to Clocktown. And this is good because you'll get to see what Clocktown looks like on the fourth day. It's the day after the moon crashes, so nobody's around. You're just sort of hanging out on your own in Clocktown. Oh, also your Fustier D-Link.
Yeah, so this is the value that got updated when we caught hot spring water in the cafe mask. Of course, we're still just a little boy, so they have to make
Nope.
sure we're good enough to pass first.
Oh, that's a problem.
Oh,
That's a big problem, actually.
just transform into another.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's how you become Fierce Deity Link. But Fierce Deity Link isn't old enough to leave the city, apparently.
But every time you... Well, it should be every time you load a map, but... So the day is going to end here. We're going to get the Dawn of a New Day cutscene, just like we did in the Wrong Warps for the run I just finished. But what map we load with the special cutscene value on Termina Field is going to be a very special map, actually. Because this is where the game is trying to normally load the Dawn of a New Day cutscene.
Yes, let's make sure to look at the center of town here, right as the map loads.
It's on the other side, I think. So this is the credits Termina map. Here you have Skull Kid, just sort of hanging out. He has no Majora's Mask. He also isn't really there. And same with the Happy Mask Salesman. Epona is there, but you can't ride Epona. You also can't actually leave. You're sort of stuck here. And if we could get the credits to play when we wrong warped here, that would be like a viable credits warp for the any percent run. But unfortunately, there's no way to get the credits to run. But there is when you try to leave this map through any of the loading zones, there's just nowhere for it to put you. So it just sort of crashes.
Oh no.
So that was MM3D 80%. Thank you very much.
Great job, Megahertz. That was an awesome run. Quite an awesome glitch exhibition in and of itself as well. So, up next we have Dead Cells by Skaza. And then followed by that we'll have Titanfall 2 and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. It's going to be an awesome streak of cool runs. So that's going to do it for me on hosting station. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to run a quick ad break here, and we're going to send it over to Mr. Shasta, who will be hosting the next couple hours of runs.